You need two pieces of paper. One's laminated, and one is paper, half size, says our principles. We also need our hymnal, which is the Wings of Song, the main one that's in your pews. And now we're going to, I'm going to bring us together here with our invocation. Thank you, Mother, Father, God, for bringing us all together. As we come together, we open our hearts in gratitude for this space, this opportunity for friendship and connection to Spirit. And with this, we say thank you. And now, if you would please repeat after me our 3 affirmations that we received from Spirit at the beginning of this year. Joyful teamwork is our way. Joyful teamwork is our way. Listening kindly is our path. Listening kindly is our path. We are in renewal together. We are in renewal together. Thank you all. And now we'll have our, yes. Our first song is on your laminated card. Let there be peace on earth.
It's also number 3 in Lisa's song.
On earth and let it begin. Now you can pick up your paper with the principles and we'll read them while we're still standing. We believe God is the eternal source and creator of all and is present in everything. Our eternal soul, endowed with free will, grows through many lifetimes. Communication occurs between the physical and spiritual worlds. Prayer and meditation strengthen our connection to the divine. All healing comes from Source. Seeking this for ourselves and compassion for others' suffering is the highest priority. Because we are all one, what we do unto others, we do unto ourselves. The choice of love is always open for every soul. Living these principles leads us to grow in divine love. And now our first hymn will be number 109. You can stand, please.
Be thou my vision.
Now, I'd like to warmly welcome us to our Lake Superior Interfaith Community Church service today. We are a church that is in renewal, and we have much to be grateful for. My name is Carolyn. I'm the president of our Board of Trustees, and that's who leads us since the 90s. We have not had a pastor, we have had each other. And we are a wonderful group of 5 people who lead it, and we have 3 extended members that also stay with us for history and their interest in the process that we're in right now. And today I'd like to introduce our speaker, who will come in a little while, and her name is Sherry Rogers. We met Sherry on Father's Day because she was visiting our church with her good friend or friends that just got married yesterday. David, our tall David, who's one of our newest people coming to our church and allies with us and members. And he got married yesterday to Kim, and that's how I met Sherry. And she was doing phenomenal, playful healing work downstairs, and I asked her if she'd come back when the wedding came. And so I want to say about Sherry that her talk is called Talking to the Other Side. And that started for Sherry when she was a very young girl. And it was hard because her family didn't understand. So she's done a lot of inner work to come to the place of not only affirming, but spreading out her wings in this great talent that she has and affinity with the other side. She's been working for her career over 20 years as a person who helps connect people for solutions across the country, and her guidance is an important part of finding these, and it's for an official agency called the post office. So she's being engaged in a way by her spirit that allows her to use her talents and still really serve the country and the people of our world in a meaningful way. And along the way, she began to really study healing modalities. She works with healing modalities I do not know. They're interesting names. And she does a lot of distance healing and in-person healing with clients in the cities. So we are welcome to you, Sherry, and we look forward to your talk for us in a little while. Okay. And now, we're going to introduce our healing bowl. And as you can see, it has many names. This healing bowl is alive all the time, all week long. Anytime any of us, with our intention and our heart, our love, can place a prayer in the healing bowl. And we will also now be asking you all, do you have any prayers you want us to use today for any people or places or circumstances that you'd like us to pray for? I'll begin us. One of our longest members, Jerry Quacko, is recovering from his hip surgery, and he's been doing really well. Today, he's not feeling well good, and so they have stayed home, and they're with us on Zoom. Hello, folks. And we want to pray for Jerry and for Jean, his wife, and how they're doing this journey together, and really lift them up, and very much lift up you, Jerry, as you heal your hip. You can stand and speak your prayer.
So one of my other part-time things is I walk a dog, a neighbor's dog, 5 doors down, and my neighbor George has back issues. So he's debating on whether to get back surgery. I've been trying to help him. He's still not completely open to the laser healing, but partly to pray for him to be more open to that, Lord, for a successful surgery, whichever.
And his name is what again?
George.
George, thank you.
And my other part-time dementia, so I'm kind of, I help give him vitamins, and I'm moving in September to about 15 minutes away from there. So we need to pray for someone else that can help take care of him and support him on his dementia journey.
And what's his name again?
Um,
That's okay. We can call it your neighbor with dementia.
yes,
Okay.
sounds good. I don't want its name spoken.
And that's just beautiful because Spirit knows right who it is.
Yes.
Mhm. Thank you, Sherry. Anybody else? All right. Then I will ask us all to include the earth and all of the suffering that's going on the earth, all the healing and all the losses, all the grief. We're thinking about Hawaii, of course, but we're thinking about the whole world as we do this. The whole world where there's starvation and famine, where there's war, where there's multitudes of suffering. And also the joy and the trust that so many of us have that we're ascending to a higher dimension and that we will be more and more able to hold the love. But our opportunity now is to hold the love and the love and the compassion for all the suffering and for all the growth going on. Okay? Thank you. And with that, we will be going into our meditation for a moment for the prayers, and also I will repeat the prayers for you while we're there, and then we'll go right into our healing meditation that will be led by Jan today. And then we'll go into our speakers' talk. So we'll begin with our song, In the Silence. That is, well, Carol will tell us.
74 in the Winter Song.
And now, let us each go into our own prayers. And I will repeat the words, the names for our healing bowl today. And it is Jerry and Jean with his healing hip. And it is another friend of mine that I've just remembered, Stephen Arculari, also facing surgery and recovery from his leg being amputated. A very many prayers for you, Stephen, and your family. And George, with his surgery impending, coming up, and helping to help his heart be open for this. And Sherry's neighbor as well, with dementia. And our beautiful earth, and all the people suffering and rising. Blessed be.
Okay. All right. Welcome, everyone. Make yourself comfortable and close your eyes. Take a slow, deep breath and let go of any tension in your body as you settle into a more relaxed posture. Feel yourself dropping down from your mind into your body. Feel the weight of your body sinking into the surface you're resting on as you become still more comfortable and relaxed. Inwardly turn your attention up toward the heavens and let your inner vision rise up higher and higher until you begin to notice a broad beam of pale golden light reaching down towards you. And streaming down within the beam are delicate rays of all different colors, transmitting the most heavenly vibrations of love and healing. As you continue to gaze upward, you recognize that the outpouring of heavenly light is being sent toward you by all the angels, and realize that the beautiful energies they send are pristine and untouched by our world. They are purer than the clearest water of the highest mountain spring. This light is their gift for you personally, containing a blessing of peace, love, and healing for your journey here on earth. As this transmission reaches you, it forms itself into a perfect ball of healing light, collecting just a few inches away from the top of your head. It is filled with golden white light, with gem-like flecks of rose, emerald, green, blue, purple, and violet. As the light continues to collect above you, you can feel your own body and energetic field relax and prepare to receive it. All your cells are beginning to turn toward the light, as if each were a tiny satellite dish, turning to receive a new signal from above. Your energy field seems to expand and open to attune to the message that's soon to be delivered. Take another deep, slow breath and invite the ball of light to come into your head. Imagine and feel it filling every part of your head and face, inside and out, bringing you a sense of peace and tranquility. Take another deep breath and breathe the ball of golden, multicolored light down into your neck and shoulders. Gently raise your shoulders for a moment, and as you let them drop, let go of any tension there. Now breathe your ball of light down into your arms, your elbows, your wrists, and your hands until it flows out your fingertips. For just a moment, gently make a fist with both hands. And as you let them open again, feel even more of the golden light flowing through your arms and out your fingertips. Now breathe the light into your chest and upper back, letting it fill your hearts, your lungs, and everywhere within and around your chest. Take a moment to experience the ball of light pulsing with your heartbeat in the very center of your chest. Take another slow, deep breath now and invite this golden, multicolored light into your abdomen and lower back. Give it time to find its way into all your internal organs. This will bring peace and balance everywhere within. Imagine all your organs working together like a fine machine. The golden light has just given you a tune-up to make everything run smoothly and more freely. Now move the ball of light into your hips and reproductive organs as it balances and releases any tension within you. Imagine the light absorbing any sort of negativity or pressure, leaving you clear and free. Invite the ball of light to travel through your upper legs, your knees, your calves, and your feet. Lightly scrunch up your toes for a moment, and then let them relax. Now the light flows freely throughout your legs and feet and out your toes. This golden white light, with its flecks of many different colors, is free to move all throughout your body, working its way everywhere within you. Connect within as deeply as you can, and ask your body, ask your mind and your emotions to let go now of anything that doesn't serve your highest good. Take some time to be with the light in this way now, and imagine it going wherever it most is needed within you, doing its healing work and making everything just right for you. Now let's imagine the light surrounds and fills your soul and lifts you gently out of your body to take you on a visit into the heavens. Up you go, into the air, through the ceiling and into the sky. And at the speed of light, you're transported into a beautiful heavenly chamber with transparent crystal walls and a ceiling that's open to the infinite sky above. Here you are surrounded by a group of beings you may not recognize at first, but who nevertheless seem quite familiar, as if you had known them and loved them for eons. They've gathered here to wish you now, to be with you now, for one reason: to let you know, without the slightest room for doubt, that you are deeply loved. As they look at you tenderly, you feel so well understood by these old friends that your heart seems to open wider and wider. And as they reach forward and begin to pour love into you, first one by one, and then all together, you find that you are able to let love in as you never have before. Take some time to rest in this heavenly chamber and receive this blessing from these friends. Now take a moment to thank yourself for giving yourself this opportunity to relax and heal from within. Gradually bring your awareness back into your body and your physical surroundings. Take your time. And when you're ready, open your eyes, feel awake, alert, refreshed, and very much loved. Namaste.
And now we will welcome you, Sherry, to bring us your story today.
And I should grab the water. How's that? Everybody hear me okay? Hello, my name is Sherry Rogers. It's a real pleasure to be able to come and speak with you. I haven't had this opportunity before, and I'm really excited about it. As she said before, my family was not encouraging of what I did or what's happened to me. I had what's called hypoglycemia, which is kind of the opposite of diabetes, where my blood sugar gets too low, and I would pass out. And my dad would tell me, no, that's just a nap. And I would wake up and I'd tell him I had this great dream, and there were these angels, and they're golden and white, and they have these big wings. And he'd be like, well, yeah, everybody has dreams. Everybody has dreams. Those are just dreams. We don't go around telling everybody about our dreams because people have dreams. So that's started at a very early age. I have a couple memories of when I was 2.5, when I ran away from home. And they say that's common for people that have had near-death experiences and not common for people that haven't. And I've had a memory of when I was 3.5, and I was walking with my dad and my grandfather and my younger sister to the river, and they said, you have to hold our hands because it's not like being at the lake. The river can wash you away. And so at one point in time, this was in 2011, so I'm kind of jumping to the future, but 4/11/2011, my grandfather passed away when I was 5. I have 3 younger sisters, and before the second one of the 4 of them was born, he passed away. So I hadn't seen him from the time I was 5, and now it's 2011, and I come home from work, and that vision from 3.5 of us walking to the river starts replaying, and it starts replaying, and it went on like several times, but I'm coming home from work, and I'm walking around, and finally I'm like, well, what is this? And finally I'm like, I should maybe focus on let's see if I can focus on my grandfather's face, like why is this happening? And then the voices said, sit down. So I sat on the couch next to where all my stones are at the time, and my grandfather came to me and said, I am so sorry that when you were younger that I told you that children should be seen and not heard. I'm sorry I didn't get the opportunity to tell you when you should be heard again, that we should be talking to you more. And you were kind of left out of the circle most of your life, not being talked to. And he must have spent 15 minutes with me that day on the couch telling me that he was proud of me. And it's been such a joyous experience for him to watch me grow up. Now that I told my sisters, and they're like, no, we don't believe that happened. That's just a dream. We don't believe that. But I went to some of the channelers and psychic mediums in the city. Catherine Harwig's a big known name where you can line up and ask one question. You can be specific, or you can just say, does Spirit have any messages for you? And their message that day was, your grandfather did come and talk to you, and your grandfather did tell you he was proud of you. And that's probably the only time you'll hear from him, because he was a very proud man himself and very accomplished, and he doesn't just say that to anybody. So it's nice to get the connection later on, that to be connected with that such an early memory. So I know that it had been happening. I know that it had had some memories and where I'd seen angels. But this one happened, what I call more of a near-death experience, happened when my sister was born when I was 10 and a half, and we took her to the park, the youngest sister. So now there's 3 of us, and I slide down the slide, and there's gravel, and I get rocks in my hand. So I go to school in the fall in September, and I still have the gravel in my hand, and now it hurts to do some of the schoolwork. So I complain to my dad, and so he's taking out he's a medical doctor. So in the bathroom of our house, he's taking out the rocks out of my hand, and my mom's standing there. The baby's in the crib. My other 2 sisters it's a really big bathroom. We have 2 sinks with cupboard in between, and then a door, and then the toilet and shower. And so they're standing in the doorway of that. And this is what I tell at age 10 and 3/4 of what I tell to my 6th grade classmates. I said, my dad was there, and he was taking the stuff out of my hand. And then I told him, I said, Dad, I got to sit down. I'm going to pass out. But Dad doesn't listen to me, right, because he never does. So I pass out. And so, like you've been watching on TV, the superheroes, and they're so cool, and they fly around, and they're all these bright colors, and it's like a tornado, and they're like all these superheroes going around me, and I'm like going up in the air I go up to the top of the ceiling of the bathroom, surrounded by all these superheroes, and it's so cool because I'm so safe because I'm surrounded by superheroes. It's amazing. So now, like I'm up at the top of the ceiling, and like now I'm only like 2 inches high, right? But it's like being in the theater. Like, have you ever been in the balcony of the theater? You know how it gets really dark, and you're sitting there, and your friends are next to you, but you can't see anybody because it's so dark, right? And so, but sometimes they talk to you, and so when you're there, then the first thing they do is they give you a life review, and they show you little snippets of your life, and they show you when you were good, and they show you when you weren't so good, and what you said and what you did to people. But then they also have you feel how it feels like if you made somebody feel good. You're like, oh, that I did make them feel good. But if you made them feel bad, that you feel that too, and it doesn't feel so good to feel so bad. So, you want to be nicer to people because, they're watching you. So you got to watch all this stuff, and it's really fast. It's like, it seems like it takes hours, but it's like really fast because it's just boom, boom, boom. Because then the lights come on, and then so you're on the balcony, and you're looking down. You're looking over and then down so I get to see my body spread out on the floor, and Dad's leaning over me, and Dad's got my hand, and he's just finishing taking the sand out. So it wasn't very long, right? And Mom had walked to the other bedroom to check on the baby and walked back. So I'm watching that, and then I'm turning a little bit and looking behind me. Oh, there's my 2 sisters. One's 7 and one's 5, and they're, watching Dad really close. The 5-year-old is currently a medical doctor herself. Took after Dad, must have enjoyed watching that. And then, so you see what's really happening. I'm seeing the counters from up above. We've got cabinets. We've got like a mini fridge down here. Get to see all this stuff from up above. But then you start looking around, and now it's not like real life. It's like stuff's golden, kind of like these windows where it's kind of a gold and a white, and you see kind of like little Christmas light bulbs, and there's like all these little Christmas light bulbs. Like if you ever walked into a crowd and you don't know anybody, so there's all this blur of faces, but then you just feel this love, and then the faces, when you go to a place, the faces start to come into perspective, and I recognize my grandfather, and I see my dog and my cat that had passed away as a child. But then it's like you start recognizing people you didn't know in this lifetime. but you just feel like you want to be with these people. It feels so good. And I'm like, oh, I want to stay. This is wonderful. And they're like, oh, no, you have to go back. Your mom needs you. You've got 3 sisters. Your mom needs your help to take care of your sisters. And you need to tell people about kindness. Kindness is important. And so kindness and taking care of family is why you need to go back. And so they just, and I'm like, no, I want to stay. It feels so much better here. They're not that nice to me down there. Yeah, well, you still have to go back. And they just push me back down. And there I am. I wake up on the floor. I'm like, however that is. And I tried to tell the family, but of course they don't, oh yeah, you have a dream when you pass out, but and I didn't really know what happened with the school kids, right? But I was at we have a Hall of Fame in our high school thing, and my sister, the doctor, is one of them. One of my best friends is a chemist. She was one of them, and her mom, and some of my other friends, and at this event at the Hall of Fame, I talked to one of the teachers, and she said, your class, the class of 76, was the nicest class. Of all the students I ever taught, the class of 76 had the most nicest kids. And isn't it amazing how also you have the most students that are already in the Hall of Fame? That they've gone on to do so many accomplishments, and you have to be doing something for our same community of St. Anthony Village, and so a lot of them stayed there and did things with their family. So that was, so you can see how it, even though from 6th grade to just a few years ago, I didn't know that it had any effect. So that was the first big memory. The second big memory was when I was 14, and my dad said, come on, we gotta go. And I'm like, Dad, I got to get some food. And my intuition said, grab some bread and some peanut butter and just grab something to go. But my dad said, no, we don't have time. You can't go in the kitchen. We have to go. I've got food in the car, he says. I'm like, okay, fine, okay. So we're hiking in Taylor's Falls. There's a bunch of us, a bunch of kids. We have a station wagon. The back end of it was full of kids, back when you didn't need seat belts. And so we're hiking and we're running, and we're quite a ways from the car. Like, we must have walked, maybe an hour each way. And so we're about 20 to 30 minutes away from the car, and my blood sugar starts to drop, and I can feel it. So I have about a half an hour before I pass out. I can feel it, and I know I have like 10 minutes to eat if I want to recover and feel normal. In 20 minutes, I'll recover and not pass out, but I'm still going to be groggy, but 30 minutes is too late, right? So I ask him, and I'm like, are you sure you have food in the car? Yes. And so then I think, okay, we are like 20 minutes out. I can do it as long as there's food in the car. Well, Dad doesn't always tell the truth. And there was no food in the car. So we get back there, and I'm like, what do you mean there's no food in the car? And we're still waiting for some of the other kids to come, because they were slower than the first of us. And he's like, well, I was going to take you into town. We're going to A&W. And that was going to be our treat. And I'm like, Dad, do you not understand yet that I pass out? No, it's okay. It'll be fine. And I start shivering. I'm like, I need a blanket. I'm freezing. And so all I have is like one of those aluminum foil blankets. So my dad had not hugged me since I was 5. Since something must have happened after my youngest sister, my 5 years younger sister was born. I think I got mad at him one day because I couldn't sit on the floor or something. I was mad, and he didn't hug me again. So I would have been warm if he'd hugged me, right? But he didn't. Anyway, so this time I pass out in Taylor's Falls. So this time there's no ceiling, right? So I go to the top of the tree tops. And what's funny is I point, like when I was in the bathroom, I went this way. This is way in my memory. I go up here to that corner. But in Taylor's Falls, I go up this way. I'm at the top of the trees. And it's a similar format. You get your life review. It's in the dark movie, and they're talking to you, and they're kind of explaining what you did. And these but the life review only started when I was, from the last one when I was 10 to 4, so it's just the 4 years. And I've obviously been a pretty good person in the last 4 years. So basically it was more about my dad not being such a good person. He's a wonderful person, but he just doesn't understand that I have hypoglycemia. He sees me as the perfect daughter. You know, he had 3 perfect daughters, and he doesn't want to see that I have this thing that doctors really don't know much about, and they don't believe in food allergies. And I knew I had food allergies since I was 7, and we would argue about that because he doesn't believe in food allergies either. And so I go to the top of the trees, have this review, but it's all about, you know, you could have defied him. You could have waited till he went to the top of the stairs and then got the food. You could have, there's a lot of options you could have done as far as, but you have to learn to depend on your own intuition. You can't just be trusting what other people say. Even when you go out in the future, you know, I have to bring food bars. I have to bring something to drink with me everywhere I go, just in case. There's many times I've wanted to be like everybody else and say, oh, I don't need to bring things. And then they're like, and then something will happen. So they explain that was our time with the movie thing. And then from there, then I get to look down and I get to see my body again, and now everybody's around me on the ground, and it's so cool to look down and see all these real people, right? I'm looking at the body on the ground, and I don't know what they're thinking now. And then again, I get to start looking around, and now I have other people that have passed, and you know, and I'm like, and I really want to stay because it feels so much better. And they're like, no, you need to work on developing your intuition. You need to work on even though your dad told you not to be telling people, you need to be working on this. You need to trust your inner guidance and develop it, and not and just be more quiet about it. Just don't go around telling people about it, but just work on it for yourself and do that. And so it's funny because lately, well, a bunch of years, I've always wondered about what my life purpose was. I never felt like I knew what my life purpose was. And I watched a show called The Ultimate Gift and The Ultimate Legacy. And it's all about little stories like this where it is the gift. And so it was the gift of kindness, learning about family. It was the gift about learning about my intuition, learning to connect. And so the TV show kind of helped me put into perspective that, oh, all along, that's enough. That is our purpose. We are all actors in the theater of the universe. And my sister, the doctor, and I love to go to the theater together. And the director picks out all of the characters that are going to be on the stage. And you have to have the good ones and the bad ones. That's what makes the show interesting. Otherwise, it would just be a music concert, or it would be a dance, right? It wouldn't be a theater with a story. We aren't meant to all be happy all the time, because you're all aware that the world is divided, and we're playing out our roles. So our role as spiritual beings is to really help awaken the world to more kindness and awaken them to the intuition and their connection. And one of the things Carolyn asked me to close with is the story about after my parents had passed. They both passed away 2 years ago. My parents got their vaccines, and a week later, the doctor told him he had about a week to live. I'm an energy healer, so I started working on him in person 3 days a week. He allowed that, and I do want to backtrack. So about 3 years before that, he announced at Christmas that he needed optional back surgery. And I immediately stood up and I said, "You are not. Nobody's going to want to put up with you. That's going to be just the most awful thing in the world. You're going to be laid up for 6 weeks. You are not having back surgery. You are going to try the laser, and you're going to try it now. And my cousin Christine is going to do it because she's the one you trust. She's your favorite. Christine is going to do it. And everybody in the room had deer in the headlights look. And Christine says, what am I going to do? And my sister Leslie passes her one of the lasers and said, here, you just push this button and shine the light on his back and just go up and down and go like this and do this for a while. And she started to do that, and he's like, oh, wait, that doesn't hurt. So she did that for a while, and then I came back after they were done, and then I did more healing with the laser and with my hands. I do kind of a combination of hands-on healing and laser work at the same time. And when he walked up the stairs later, it didn't hurt. 2 weeks later, I did it again. 2 weeks later, I did it a third time. 2 weeks later, I came back, and he's like, yep, I don't need it anymore. And Mom's like, yep, he doesn't complain anymore. He doesn't have any problem. So within the next 3 months, they decided to move. They were like, as long as my back's good, we better pack up and downsize and move to an apartment. So healing has benefits. They could have been stuck there with this giant house of stuff that the rest of us would have had to deal with, but my dad took care of dealing with it, and they moved to a 2-bedroom, kind of near the assisted living, senior housing, 1 mile from my sister, the doctor. And so here we are, 1 mile from my sister, and he's got a week to live, so I'm 30 minutes away. So I'm doing distance healing every day of the week or every night. I tend to wake up in the middle of the night. I do a lot of healing between 1 and 3 a.m. And, but I also did it in person with them a few days a week. So for 4 weeks, I did this. My other sisters are having to go over there 2-3 times a day to check on them if they need things, because my mom has bad knees, and my dad had been doing the shopping and a bunch of other things. And now he was kind of laid up. He was on some oxygen. He was in very little pain. He gives all the credit to apricot seeds, which take away the pain of cancer, apparently. And so he was telling people about that for the next 4 weeks, how he didn't have any pain. He's good, doing good. Well, after the 4th week, my sister was like, we can't keep this up. We're going to have to put him in assisted living. We don't know what to do. Why is he hanging on? So I quit doing the healing. I thought, well, okay, we got to let him go. It's time. He'd had a chance. He'd had 4 weeks to say goodbye to everybody that he wanted to. He gave away a bunch of stuff. He wrote up his whole entire funeral, everything. And so he passed away. It was 5 weeks later before we could have the funeral because of COVID. The week after that, my mom I saw my mom on Friday, and she was a little weak. My sister saw her Saturday morning, and then she got up to go to the bathroom after my sister left, and she'd fallen and on the edge of the wheelchair and tore her leg open. It was bleeding everywhere. So my sister and her son had to rush back and get her and clean up and get her to the hospital. And so she was in there and was in like a care center for 3 weeks. And they were going to decide whether to move her to assisted living, but she couldn't stand up. My mom didn't want me to laser her. She'd tried it once and said, nope, that it hurt. Well, I made the mistake of lasering her metal knee, and I didn't realize that was a bad idea at the time. I should only laser skin, not the metal joint. And it might have been just too close to her knee surgery when I did it. But anyway, so when I visited her in the hospital, she still couldn't stand up. We had to watch the people come in and like hoist her into the bathroom and hoist her off the toilet and clean her up. And in my head, I said, Mom, go be with Dad. You don't need this. You don't want to move to the nursing home and have people taking you to the bathroom multiple times a day. Go be with Dad, I said. And then everybody said, well, we'll see you on Wednesday. For some reason, she was too busy to see people Tuesday. So Wednesday, they drew blood at 5:30 in the morning, and when they came back at 7 o'clock in the morning, she had passed. Just peacefully in her sleep. And by 9 o'clock, everybody in the whole family was there to see her. We had a lovely visitation, a little bit with her in the room and a little bit with the ceremony. But anyway, so they both passed. This was 2 years ago. My dad, as an alcoholic, went, in my opinion. This is just, we all have different viewpoints on what heaven looks like. And I think mine is nicer because I had a really nice life. So to me, heaven is very golden and very beautiful. And I hear that other people's maybe isn't the same, right? We all have our own view. And as my understanding is that people that have conditions on earth that they haven't dealt with, they go to a hospital in heaven. And so Dad was there. But so like in the AA program, because you have to sober up, you have to make amends to the people you have harmed. And you also see what you did. So what I saw from heaven when I was 14, now he was seeing it. The first year after he passed, he appeared to me over 100 times saying he was sorry. And I saw many of the individual visions of what he was sorry about. My mom didn't appear. She didn't really believe in what was happening. We don't have time for my big story about when I passed out and when I was in 1994 and 5. But she didn't believe that I was that sick. She thought I was faking it back then. She kind of never really went, to drive a half an hour to see them, I have to be in pretty good shape, right? So by the time I get there, I'm in pretty good shape. So there's a lot of times I had to cancel, and she just didn't get it. So this last winter, my townhome is starting to leak. The wood siding is rotting. The woodpeckers are attacking it. Chickadees, there's holes, and the water's coming in. So I've got mold in my walls, and I've been sick. And I have so many tools as a healer. All kinds of Vibrance products, Young Living products. So I work with vitamins. I work with EFT tapping. I work with dowsing. I've got EMF protection. I've got lots of other things. But she just doesn't. Yeah, she's Methodist, and that's not the way it's done, and we don't believe this. But when I got really sick this March, she appeared, and she said, I now see what you've been through. I now feel how hard it's been for you. I now see all the work that you have had to go through, that you are surviving. This is some pretty intense mold that's in my house right now. You can't see it on the inside. It just looks like a little regular stain on the ceiling. But it's on that ceiling, and it's on that ceiling, so it means it's in that whole entire wall, and it's in that whole entire wall. And she's like, and now I understand, because I can feel it in my voice. This isn't my actual normal voice. This is my moldy voice. And she came and apologized. She said, I'm so sorry I didn't accept your gifts while I was alive. And you do need to talk about it. I do believe that you have gifts that need to be shared with the world, and I do give you my permission to talk about it and share it with the world.
Carol, would you introduce our next hymn?
153, called Count Your Blessings. Because I want to say, we weren't sure what you're going to say, because we told her, I open up this book, and it opens to the song. And it's like, we really like that one.
Yes, please stand. Thank you all. Now we'll have our offering. So please bring some baskets up, helping the people have a place. Thank you all. Thank you, Mother, Father God, Source Creator. May we use these gifts of our hearts and of our means to fulfill our mission here on earth. Blessed be. Amen. And now, we'll find your laminated card again. Okay. Remind me what it is, Sue. Oh, thank you. I appreciate you. Yes. So we're going to find the church affirmation on the bottom of one of the sides of the card. And may we stand. We totally accept the belief that God is in charge of the affairs and direction of Lake Superior Community Church. We know that as our thoughts of trust and joyful anticipation join in harmony with the thoughts of all the members of this fellowship, we attract the right ministerial leadership to the spiritual community. And we are grateful. Thank you. And now let's come forward and make our circle. And Carol will bring us our last song. And bring the card, if you wish, for the closing hymn. It'll say, God be with you till we meet again, if you don't know those. And I will first do a benediction. May the road rise up to meet all of us. May the wind be always at our back. May the sun shine warm upon our faces, and may God hold us all in the palm of their hand. Amen. And now our song.